During the times of the DDR, some things really never seemed to change. One of the most noticeable examples was the aging rail network. Until the late 80s, many pre-war steam locomotives were still roaming the landscape. Today we will explore this past of heavy machinery in the form of a big locomotive graveyard and one of the biggest moving machinery in the world. Join us and discover the rusting behemoths of the former DDR. During last summer we did our first big road trip. This time we traveled to Eastern Germany to discover the many remains of the former DDR. During this 5-day road trip we came across the most epic locations. From secret Soviet bases to beautiful ornate castles. We started in a big forest. We were on the look for the big train graveyard. After walking a bit further, we finally saw the trains, which somewhat resembled a big rusty wall. This wall was not a problem though. What was a problem was the steel fence. We weren't really in the mood of climbing the rather spiky fence, so we first tried looking for another entrance. We hoped to find some sort of hole in the fence, or a hole under the wall. Unfortunately, this wasn't the case for us. So we had to climb the fence. And to say the least, this was truly a shitty fence. The problem was that the spikes were actually quite sharp and could easily hook into your clothes or skin.
Ooh.
Finally, we were inside without being castrated. From the start, the sight of these rusty machines was absolutely stunning. Climbing on the first train, it really became clear just how many there even were. Truly rows were located here. It really looked like you were stepping back in time. Only this time nature has also joined the atmosphere. The question you may have right now is how these trains even got in this state. Well, we didn't know this at the time of our exploration, but this collection is actually part of a preservation organization. The trains started their life a lot earlier though. This was during the Second World War. This model was actually known as being the so-called war locomotives. So they were mass manufactured to carry the heavy freight of the Nazi regime. This was also the model which was used to transport the Jews to the concentration camps. Let's further explore the graveyard though. In the middle, a beautiful early 1900s coal basin was located. Back in the days, this little tower would refill the coal wagons. As you could have heard in the intro, steam engines were used all the way until the 80s. This is a stark contrast with the rest of Europe, which already began phasing them out in the early 60s. Let's take a look inside the cabin though. Right here, coal was shoveled from the coal wagon inside the hot boiler. With this, the water became steam, which generated power. The cabin wasn't in the best shape though.
Okay. Okay, now.
It was time to leave the compound though, and head over to the next abandoned behemoth. Our next location can be seen in the distance. What you're seeing right now here is our next object, and that is this monumental Lignite Digger. We will head into the function and the history further in the Explorer. First, let's get inside.
Het is wel lekker flexibel zo te zien.
The first impression was just the sheer dimensions of the huge vehicle. It's truly mind-boggling that this thing could even move. But it really became noticeable with seeing the massive steel tracks. We will first start with the tail of the excavator. Right here the coal was transported off the machine. Here is how it looked like back in the day. The purpose of lignite was to then burn it, to generate electricity. This excavator right here started its life all the way back in the 60s, when the open cast mining operations were started. But well, let's head over to the heart of the machine. In the middle part the coal would be partially crushed. When standing on top of the middle, we heard an engine sound. We didn't know if this would be security or just some guys. We gambled that it were just random people, so we ventured on. Inside we came across several small rooms. The rooms were probably used for storage, for the once many parts. Nowadays it has a different purpose though. Let's go to the front though. This also seemed to be a bit sketchy, due to a tractor which was mowing the massive lawn. The cool thing about this part was that this part could actually move, which you could clearly notice in the steps. But well, we wanted to take a look at the front claw. Alright, we were at the front. But with this big claw, tons of coal was excavated in the nearly 40 years of production. With this we will also finish our exploration. In general, it's truly insane to me that such big and powerful machines could become pretty much useless over the span of years. What will happen to the two sides is still unknown, but they truly are a reminder of the once prestigious industrial past of Eastern Germany. Next time on Forgottenbuildings. We will head into the true Soviet past in the form of a Soviet military base, where we nearly got caught. And we will finish off the series with a true monumental swimming pool hidden somewhere in the big city